Disrespected black woman sparred as a joke. Her incredible move revealed a life-changing truth. Sierra stood behind the lunch counter at the diner, flipping pancakes as the smell of sizzling bacon filled the air. The noise of laughter and clinking cutlery surrounded her, but beneath the vibrant atmosphere lay a dull ache, a reminder of her struggles. A server, a waitress, a single mom, these labels never seemed to do justice to the fierce fighter inside her. The woman who juggled double shifts just to ensure her 7-year-old son, Jamal, had a brighter future. When a group of loud, cocky patrons stormed in, they approached her with mockery in their eyes. "Hey lady, think you can take us on? We've got bets on you." Laughter spilled from their lips, sharp and cruel. The diner felt heavy with tension, yet Sierra stood her ground, heart racing as anger pulsed through her veins. This wasn't the first time her worth had been belittled, but today felt different. Before we continue, I need to let you know about something important that's happening. YouTube has been making changes to the system, and many people are losing notifications from channels they follow. If you're enjoying the content, hit that bell and mark all notifications so you don't miss the next videos. And if you can drop a like, it really helps me with reach. Seriously, it makes a difference. Oh, let me know in the comments where you're watching from. I'm always curious to know who's on the other side of the screen. Now let's continue. She took a deep breath and stepped into the center of the diner, her years of martial arts training bubbling to the surface, igniting a powerful resolve within her. In mere moments she transformed from a humble waitress into a lightning bolt of energy, every punch a blend of grace and fury. Gasps echoed, a mix of disbelief and awe sweeping through the small crowd. This wasn't just a sparring match. It was transformational. With each precise movement, Sierra released decades of frustration, years spent feeling like a ghost in a world that refused to see her. She felt betrayal stinging in her chest, reminders of those who once told her she would never amount to anything. As the onlookers shifted from smirks to astonished whispers, something extraordinary happened. Conversations ignited about respect and equality. Then, in that moment of raw power, Sierra realized that the fight wasn't just about them thinking she was a waitress. It was about showing Jamal that he could overcome the harsh realities of the world outside. She longed for him to feel proud, to stand tall against prejudice, just as she was doing now. But the fight wasn't over. The audience's admiration flowed into her heart, teasing open old wounds. After the match, she lingered in the shadows, contemplating the absence of her father, his silent retreat haunting her, a ghost in her own life. Would she be a better parent for Jamal by facing him? Or would reopening that door only bring more heartache? The echoes of her past lingered, more aggressive than ever. As Sierra appeared at the next community event, standing in front of a buzzing crowd, waves of anticipation washed over her. Today was not just about her victories. It was about sharing her story, her struggles, as she prepared to finally let go of that heavy past. But then she saw him, her father, standing at the back, eyes filled with regret and longing. The moment hung thick with disbelief. Would she confront him? Could she take that step towards healing now that she had found her voice? Around her the crowd leaned in, and the air shimmered with urgency as Sierra breathed deeply, ready to claim her truth. Would she rise to meet this moment of reckoning? Or would the ghosts of her past keep her rooted in fear? The answers were just a heartbeat away, begging to be uncovered. Sierra felt her heart racing, a battle of emotions stirring within her. She hadn't seen him in years. The man who had walked out, leaving her to figure life out alone, how could he just show up now? As the murmurs of the crowd faded, the world around her felt like a distant echo. Her father's eyes held a mix of shame and longing, reflecting the man she'd once known. Yet it felt like staring at a stranger. Still, the familiar warmth of his presence tugged at her heart tightly, just like the memories of her childhood wrapped around her every thought. "Mommy," Jamal's small voice cut through her daze. He was gripping her hand, innocence radiating from his worried face. He didn't understand the weight of this moment. She knelt down to his level, her palms resting on his shoulders. "Sweetheart, I'm okay. Just give me a second," she said, forcing a smile that didn't quite reach her heart. The crowd shifted, eyes darting between them and her father, atmosphere thick with tension. Would the past swallow her whole? Or could she rise above it? This wasn't just about her anymore. It was about Jamal, about showing him that the past didn't define them, that they had the power to rewrite their story. With each breath, Sierra felt the adrenaline seep away, replaced with steely resolve. She stood, shaking off old bruises and memories, and began her slow, deliberate walk towards her father. What awaited her was unknown, but something deep inside pushed her forward. "Why now?" she called out, her voice strong but a bit shaky. Those two words hung thick between them. The crowd held its breath, waiting for answers. Sierra didn't care about the spectators. This moment belonged to her, not the painful family history, but the power of reclaiming her voice. Her father stepped forward, hands outstretched as if to catch her words. "I have missed so much, Sierra. I was wrong to leave." His voice was shaky, wrapped in remorse. But could she believe him? Would believing him heal the past or deepen the wounds? The air felt electric as she gazed into his eyes. "You can't just waltz back in. You don't get to just say that," she retaliated, the years of hurt pouring out like an open wound. "You left me to carry everything alone. I had to fend for myself." Tears pricked her eyes, but she held her ground. "Do you even know who I am now?" His face twisted with pain. "I know. You've become everything I should have celebrated. And I'm so sorry." Her breath hitched, emotions swirling like a storm, and she found herself processing what she'd always wanted to hear. Still, doubt clouded her heart like a fog. Could she believe him? The crowd echoed murmurs of compassion and anticipation, as if they were size observers at a boxing match, waiting to see which fighter would take the next hit. But this was more than a spectacle. It was the essence of healing, the intersection of past and present. "Let us not make this about just us," she said, glancing at Jamal, still standing close. "How do we move forward? What do we do now?" But as she spoke those words, an undeniable crack in her heart opened. Would she ever be able to forgive? The sound of clapping startled her. The patrons who had once mocked her now stood in solidarity, cheering her on as if she had just won the match of her life. "Let us take it slow," her father suggested, eyes earnest. "I'm here for you. I'll fight for us." Could this be the start of that fight? Or would Sierra crumble under the weight of the fear that had held her back for so long? In that pivotal moment, she realized that healing was a choice as much as it was a journey. And as she stood there on that stage, caught between the anger of her past and the hope of a future, she knew something had to change. But was she ready to take that step? The question hung in the air like a fragile thread, daring to unravel her world yet weaving hope into something new. What would she say next? Would she embrace the chance to rebuild? Or would she turn away, leaving the past to bury her alive? Sierra's heart thudded like a drum in her chest. Every beat echoed with uncertainty. The clapping faded, replaced by a heavy stillness that enveloped her. Faces in the crowd morphed into a blur, their expressions obscured by the intensity of the moment. Her father stood before her, hands still outstretched, but in her mind, they felt more like shackles than solace. "Fight for us," she echoed, the words rolling off her tongue with a mix of sarcasm and anger. "What does that even mean? You can't just claim a role you abandoned." His eyes, filled with a storm of emotions, were a mirror reflecting her own fear and hesitation. Behind the remorse, she saw desperation, a longing to connect that made her want to retreat and run all at once. "Please, Sierra," he breathed, taking a cautious step closer. "Let me explain. Just give me a chance. I was a coward. Everything fell apart, and I didn't know how to cope." She shook her head, her defenses rising like a fortress around her heart. "You think saying sorry will fix it all? You don't get to skip the hard part, Dad," she said, her words sharp like glass. Jamal tugged at her hand gently, sensing the turbulent waters that churned around them. "Mommy, is he going to stay?" His innocent question hung in the air, a poignant reminder of what was at stake. Sierra kneeled, pulling him close, her heart breaking at the thought of putting him through any more upheaval. "I don't know, sweetheart. But this is complicated." She brushed a tear from her cheek, feeling the crowd's sympathetic gaze, heavy with expectation. "It's not just about you," she told her father, the words spilling out like raw emotion. "You think you can just show up and all the pain gets erased? You missed my graduations, my first heartbreak, everything that mattered." He clenched his jaw, eyes wavering, as if grappling with the enormity of her truth. "I know. I was foolish and I don't expect forgiveness. But I want to be part of your lives again. I want to meet Jamal, be the grandfather I should have been." Her stomach knotted, Did she want that? The idea flickered like a candle in the wind. She could feel the crowd leaning in, hungry for resolution they had no right to demand. Could she reveal the softness in her heart? Let the light in after years of being alone? Trust is broken, Dad, she said, her voice barely a whisper. You have to understand how hard this is for me. He nodded slowly, looking more fragile than she remembered. I realize that. But I mean what I say. I'm willing to do the work, but it starts with you giving me a chance. Is that what you want? A second chance? Or is it just guilt making you reach out? She needed to know. The truth behind his intentions could mean everything. I want to fight for my family, Sierra, he replied, his voice steady now, swathed in sincerity. I'll show you through my actions, not just words. Could she allow herself to hope? Jamal's small hand squeezed hers tight, grounding her amidst chaos. Okay, she breathed, exhaling the tension that had built up. Let us take this slow then, step by step. The relief that washed over her was almost foreign. She wasn't ready to embrace his return completely, but opening a door a crack felt like a small victory. Before she could collect herself fully, a voice rang out from the back of the crowd. How do we know you won? Walk away again? The piercing question plunged into her heart, reopening old wounds. Jamal looked up, confused, but Sierra was frozen in thought. Her father's stillness was telling as he faced the crowd, retreating from her side, forcing the attention back on himself. Because this time I choose to stay, he replied. His voice was steady, focused through the haze of memory and anticipation. Sierra felt the air shift, the challenge lingering just beneath the surface. Could he really commit? But in that moment, she wondered as hope wrestled with suspicion, what would truly define their next steps? Would she find strength in vulnerability? Or would the shadows of betrayal loom too large? The murmurs in the crowd began to shift, an undercurrent of skepticism rippling like water disturbed by a stone. Sierra could feel the tension mounting, curiosity, doubt, and even judgment etched into the faces around her. The question hung heavy between them, a reminder of the fragility of trust. Stay, she whispered to herself, the word felt weighted. What did it even mean? Would he stand by her side? Or was this just another moment destined to fizzle out? She clenched her jaw, her emotions swirling like a storm, caught between desire and fear. Mommy, Jamal's small voice broke through her thoughts, drawing her attention back to him. His innocent blue eyes searched her face, seeking assurance. It was a look that melted her heart but also burdened her with the reality of their situation. Will he really be here? Sierra knelt down, her heart breaking a little more. I hope so, baby, but we have to be careful. Not everyone is who they say they are. She hesitated, knowing that a part of her longed for the connection she never had, but the other part screamed to protect herself and Jamal from potential hurt. Can we trust him? Jamal pressed, his tiny hand gripping hers, grounding her once again. I don't know, she whispered, torn within. Her father cleared his throat, stepping forward with a resolve that seemed both fragile and determined. I know I don't deserve your trust, Sierra, but I'm ready to earn it. I'm not asking for a blank check, just an opportunity to prove myself. Sierra felt the eyes of the crowd on her, weighing her reaction, hoping for a sign, a hint of reconciliation. She wanted to feel angry, to lash out, but somewhere deep inside, she was desperate for connection. The past echoed in her mind, the missed moments, the celebrations turned solitary, but she also felt the pull of what could be. A family reunited. Okay, she exhaled, her voice wavering. You can come to dinner tonight. But this is not a step towards forgiveness. This is just one chance, one meal. Each word felt like a cautious move across thin ice. He nodded, visibly relieved but still cautious. Thank you, Sierra. Means more than you know. Before she could respond, the crowd erupted in whispers again. Skepticism turned to chatter, and several voices rose above the rest. What if he disappoints you again? One voice cried out, echoed by another. It was like a wave crashing against the shore, relentless and harsh. Sierra straightened, her heart racing. You don't think I know that already? She fired back, her voice rising to match the intensity in the room. I've lived with that fear for years. But I can't live in the past anymore. If I do, I'll lose myself. The crowd quieted, a stunned silence following her declaration. It felt raw, liberating. This was about more than just her father. It was about her own healing, her own rebellion against the heartbreak that had defined her life. Her father's eyes softened, perhaps recognizing the depth of her struggles. "I won't let you down this time, I promise." But inside, doubt stirred back to life. Promises, she thought. They were easy to make and just as easy to break. Would she really believe his promise this time, or was it another illusion? As Sierra took a deep breath, she felt the weight of the moment settle in. Hope and fear danced within her, battling for control. Tonight could change everything or nothing at all. Jamal tugged at her hand, bringing her back to the now. "Mommy, are we okay?" "I hope so, buddy. But let us not rush anything." As she looked at her father, something shifted. A crack in her defenses, a flicker of trust yearning to ignite. Yet the road ahead felt treacherous and uncertain. Would they end up as a real family? Or was she only setting herself up for another heartbreak? The reality of their dinner loomed like a heavy impending storm, and Sierra couldn't shake the feeling that something pivotal was about to unfold. She knew tonight would reveal truths they were both afraid to confront. Would they emerge stronger together? Or would this encounter only dredge up more hurt? The answer danced in the air just out of reach, but Sierra sensed it might change everything. Sierra stared at her father, uncertainty swirling around them like fog. The air felt thick, charged with a mixture of anticipation and dread. As the crowd began to disperse, she could hear distant laughter and light chatter, reminders of a world that felt slightly detached from her own. "Mommy, can we go home?" Jamal's small voice broke through her reverie again. She looked down and saw concern etched on his cherubic face. It twisted her heart. He was too young for this heaviness. "Just a little while longer, sweetie," she said, squeezing his hand gently. Her father shifted uncomfortably, his eyes darting between her and Jamal. "If it's okay, we could talk for a minute, just the three of us. I'd like to clear the air before dinner." She hesitated, battling the urge to keep him at arm's length. Yet there was a spark of hope fluttering in her chest. This was a chance to share the load of hurt, a chance to stare unflinchingly at the past. "Fine," Sierra finally acquiesced, motioning for him to follow. They stepped away from the crowd and found a quieter corner of the park. The fading sunlight painted the sky in hues of orange and pink, a stark contrast to the whirlwind of emotions brewing inside her. "First off," her father said, his voice lowering, "I'm so sorry for everything I put you through. I can't change the past, but I can try to make things right." "Can you?" She shot back, her voice thick with emotion. "Can you really? Because the last time you said this, you vanished without a trace." "I'm not angry anymore. I'm just tired. I can't keep getting hurt. And it's not just me, I have Jamal to think about." He lowered his head, guilt etched on his features. "I know. I left you alone, and I'll never forgive myself for that. I thought I was protecting you, but I was just running away." Tears stung her eyes as she tried to hold firm. "Running away doesn't protect anyone. We should been a team, a family. We wanted you, needed you." A pained expression crossed his face, but Sierra couldn't soften her stance just yet. "What do you plan to do differently this time? You have no idea how devastating it is to watch you walk out the door, again and again, leaving us behind for your promises." He looked straight into her eyes, determination glinting in his own. "I will be there for you. Not just tonight, but beyond that. I want to be a part of your life. I want to be a granddad to Jamal." "If you give me another chance, don't make it about Jamal," she interrupted, her heart racing. "This isn't just about him, we're a package deal. You have to understand it's going to take time for me to trust again. Maybe even a lifetime. Then I'm willing to wait." His voice was steady, but the weight of his words hung heavy. "Just let me try." Sierra studied him, searching for the sincerity in his eyes, hoping to find what she longed for. For a moment she could almost see the man he once was, the father she didn't think she'd ever get back. "Okay, let us start with dinner tonight," she finally said, her voice firmer now. "But we take this one step at a time. If you falter, well, I can't keep doing this." "I understand," he replied, a hint of relief softening his stance. Jamal tugged at her side, cutting through their intense exchange. "Mommy, can we go get ice cream after dinner?" Sierra chuckled, warmth flooding her veins. "Sure, buddy. But only if we're on our best behavior." As they walked back toward their car, she felt a new undercurrent of hope mixed with the familiar trepidation. Could they truly come together? Was she brave enough to face the past in exchange for a potential future as a family? But even as she walked beside him, doubt whispered in her ear. What if this was all just an illusion, another moment leading to disappointment? Tonight would tell. Jamal's laughter cut through her thoughts, reminding her of what was at stake. Would dinner be a doorway to healing or another painful reminder of what might never be? Time would tell, she thought. But deep down, she knew that letting her guard down might just be the greatest risk of all. Jamal chattered happily as they drove, the hum of the car mixing with his youthful excitement. Sierra watched him in the rearview mirror, his innocence glowing like a beacon. Yet her heart felt heavy, still tangled in the uncertainty about her father's intentions. "Mommy, how long until we get to the restaurant?" he asked, swinging his little legs in the back seat. The way he looked at her, so full of trust, made Sierra ache inside. "Not too long, buddy. Just a few minutes," she replied, trying to keep her tone light. Her father was silent beside her, lost in his own thoughts. She could sense the tension radiating from him, an electric current that mirrored her own apprehension. Every red light felt like an eternity, forcing her to confront the reality of their impending dinner. This was more than just a meal. It was a test of faith, a fragile seed of hope that could easily wither away. As they pulled into the restaurant parking lot, Sierra's hands tightened on the wheel. The aroma of spices and warm bread wafted through the air, pulling her momentarily from her worries. Jamal was already unbuckling his seatbelt, eager to dash into the lively atmosphere, completely unaware of the gravity of the evening. "Let us take a deep breath before we go in," her father suggested, glancing at her with an encouraging smile. The gesture was unexpected but comforting. She nodded, inhaling through her nose, trying to push aside the fluttering chaos inside her chest. When they entered, the cheerful sounds of laughter and clinking silverware enveloped them. Jamal bolted forward, his excitement infectious. But as they approached their table, Sierra felt her stomach twist. They had a reserved spot in the corner, secluded, yet still visible, the perfect reflection of their fractured family dynamic. "Wow, look at the balloons," Jamal exclaimed, pointing to the decorations hanging from the ceiling. It took a moment for Sierra to appreciate his joy, and not the backdrop of memories it stirred within her. As the waiter approached, Sierra still felt a chasm between her and her father. They placed their orders, and the small talk that followed felt awkward, brittle like dry leaves. Her father frequently glanced at Jamal, his eyes lighting up when he spoke to him, but Sierra couldn't shake the feeling that this was all a performance. "I want to hear more about your soccer game, Jamal," he said, leaning forward. Already that warmth seemed genuine, but Sierra couldn't help but question the motives behind it. "Kind of boring. We lost, but I got a goal." Jamal shrugged, his small hands animatedly illustrating the events. Sierra watched as her father laughed, the sound reminiscent of the man she once knew, the man she longed to reclaim. Yet, a voice in her head warned her not to fall for it too soon. With every laugh, every smile, something inside her screamed to keep her heart guarded. Then, in a moment of vulnerability, her father turned slightly, his expression softening. "I know I messed up. I'm just trying to be part of his life, to actually be here for both of you." "Trying isn't enough," Sierra whispered, her agitation bubbling to the surface. "You've said it before. Actions speak louder. You need to show us you're in this." He nodded, and for the first time, his face reflected determination. "I will. I promise I will try harder than ever." Sierra didn't respond immediately. She watched him, searching for any hint of insincerity. Could he really change? Would he really show up? Just then Jamal jumped up, waving a hand. "Look, ice cream. We're gonna have ice cream after this, right?" A fragile laugh broke the tension. Sierra felt warmth bloom in her chest, even as skepticism lingered. "Yes, we'll have ice cream, buddy," she replied, forcing a smile. But as the waiter returned with their food, Sierra's heart raced with uncertainty. The moment felt charged with implications that could unravel at any second. It was a meal that could be a new beginning or another painful disappointment. And just as they took their first bites, her father's phone buzzed on the table, turning their world upside down. He picked it up, and his expression shifted, confusion and worry darkening his features. Sierra leaned in, her heart dropping. What could be so urgent that it interrupted their fragile moment? What news was waiting on that screen? Sierra's breath caught in her throat. The friendly chaos around them felt distant, as though she were wrapped in a bubble. Her father's face, once animated with laughter, was now a canvas of concern. "Dad? What's wrong?" she asked, the fear creeping into her voice as she instinctively leaned closer, her heart thudding louder with each passing second. He stared at his phone, scrolling through messages that were clearly pulling him into a storm. "It's about work." His voice was barely above a whisper, and she could see the conflict twisting in his eyes. What could be so important right now? She pressed, the edge of frustration and worry sharpening her tone. Jamal's innocent chatter had faded. He looked from one parent to the other, confusion knitting his brow. "Is it bad, Grandpa?" "No, no," her father said, his attempt at reassurance faltering as he waved a hand dismissively. But she could see the tension in his shoulders. "It's just there's an issue with the project." "An issue?" Sierra echoed, sensing the weight of the moment. The restaurant buzzed with life around them, laughter and music swirling through the air. Yet their little bubble of hope felt punctured. "What kind of issue?" He sighed, lowering his phone to the table. "A few clients are pulling out, and I may need to make a hard decision." Disappointment washed over her. "So you're just going to leave us? Again?" "No. I mean, I'll do everything I can to make it work." He was stumbling now, trying to find anything that would make sense of their world. Jamal, still wide-eyed, broke in, "Can't we just eat and then you can fix it later?" His childlike optimism hung in the air, a fragile thread tying them together. It should have been simple, but Sierra felt the walls tightening around them. "Please, Dad. We're trying to move forward here," she said, trying to keep her voice steady. "This dinner, this is our chance to rebuild." Her father met her gaze, and in that brief silence, Sierra saw the flicker of determination. Maybe he was truly trying. But then his phone buzzed again, slicing through the moment like a knife. He glanced down, his expression faltering a bit more. "I just need to respond to this. I'll just a moment? Can't you set it aside?" She interrupted, anger bubbling inside her. "This is about us, about making things right." He looked at her, and in his eyes she saw a glimpse of the man she'd always wanted to believe he could be. "I'm trying." Sierra, before she could respond, the waiter returned, delivering their meals with enthusiasm. Jamal's face lit up as the plates settled before him, momentarily distracting from the tension. But Sierra felt the block forming again, thick and heavy, like a storm cloud ready to burst. "Look, spaghetti!" Jamal exclaimed, reaching out for the fork. "Can we eat now?" "Just a second," Sierra said, forcing a smile for Jamal's sake. She glanced at her father, whose attention was now back on his phone, the weight of their dinner quickly fading. That relaxed energy they started with slipped away like sand through her fingers. Her heart sank further as she realized the truth. How many moments had been hijacked by his distractions? How many times had she hoped for connection, only to find him lost in another world? "Maybe you're right," she said quietly, looking at Jamal, who was blissfully unaware. "Maybe this isn't going to work after all." As her father lifted his eyes, realization dawned. But then, without another word, he returned to his phone. And in that moment, Sierra felt more alone than ever. Jamal, noticing the change in atmosphere, looked worried. "Are we going to be okay?" Sierra took a deep breath, forcing herself to be strong. "Yes, buddy. We just need to finish our dinner." But as she glanced at her father, she couldn't shake the feeling that this dinner was teetering on the edge of disaster. Little did she know that a revelation was lurking on the other side of that screen. What would be the truth that changed everything? Sierra watched her father's face. Brimming with more than just confusion, there was a twitch of desperation lurking beneath the surface. She could sense the tension between them pulsating like the greatest of storms ready to erupt. Jamal, blissful and unaware of the unfolding drama, twirled his spaghetti on his fork, pretending every twirl was a grand victory. "Can we eat now?" he asked again, his voice an innocent plea in a bewildering storm of adult problems. Sierra wanted to tell him it was okay, that everything was fine. But the knot in her stomach tightened with every passing second. Her father was too consumed by whatever was glaring up from that phone, a reminder that their dinner wasn't the priority. "Jamal, let us eat," she managed, her voice softer now. Maybe it'll help calm things down. She took a deep breath and picked up her fork, trying to shake off the disappointment clinging to her like a shadow. With every bite, the familiar taste of her favorite dish felt bittersweet, a reminder of what they once had. Laughter and warmth used to overflow at the dinner table, but now it felt like a crypt held together by fragile hope. "Dad?" She attempted again, coaxing the conversation gently. "What's going on with work? You can tell us. We're a family, right?" For a moment she saw him hesitate, his fingers stilled above the screen. Then he sat up straight, defiantly refusing to look her in the eye. "It's not something I can just explain right now," he said, his voice tight. "Why not?" She fought against the rising emotion swirling in her chest. "If it's so important, why can't you share it with us? You're here but you're not here. It's like you've chosen your work over us." The words stung, but they were true. A few heads at nearby tables turned their attention toward them, curious about the raw energy sparking between father and daughter. "Is that how you really see it?" he asked, his tone sharp, but the hurt behind it cut through her. "Yes," she burst out, the pent-up frustration spilling over. "We're over here trying to connect, and you're more focused on your phone than us." Her heartbeat raced in the silence that followed. Jamal looked between them, his small hands clenching his fork. "I just want us to be happy," he said, and the sincerity in his voice held an honesty that silenced them both. "What do you think would make us happy?" Her father shot back, his anger faltering as he glanced at Jamal. There it was, an opening, a window into something deeper than their current fight. Being together. Jamal insisted, squaring his tiny shoulders, as if he could hold up the weight of their shattered family. Each word hit Sierra like a drumbeat, echoing truths that had long been buried beneath layers of disappointment. She looked at her father, laying bare the depth of not just their argument but the fragility of their family bond. In the dance of light and shadow that painted their surroundings, something shifted. She could feel it, a spark of connection trying to ignite one last time. But then her father's phone buzzed, the familiar and unwelcome sound pulling him back. His eyes immediately dropped, and that flicker of hope dimmed. "Just give me a minute," he mumbled, fingers flashing across the screen. Sierra's heart dropped. Was this all they would ever be, a family fragmented by attention diverted elsewhere? As she watched him, resignation washed over her. Yet Jamal's innocent gaze was filled with a spark she wanted to cling to. "Dad, how do you feel about this dinner?" she asked, her voice steady now, almost pleading. But instead of answering, he thinned his lips, caught between swirling chaos and silence. What was hiding behind his detached demeanor? What truth remained locked beneath the weight of his responsibilities? As the uneaten spaghetti grew cold, Sierra realized they were at a crossroads, and a moment of revelation might be the only thing to save them. Was this dinner merely a meal or an opportunity for a breakthrough? Inside her, the fierce hope battled with doubt, each feeling vying for dominance. Sierra sat frozen, feeling each second tick by as Jamal's hopeful gaze shifted between her and their father. The air was thick with unspoken words, a fragile moment that demanded a breakthrough. She could almost see the tension coiling around them like vine, threatening to snuff out any flicker of light. "Dad," she said, her voice breaking slightly, "maybe this is the moment we really need to talk. What's going on? Can't we just take a breath together?" He hesitated, fingers hovering over the screen, unsure whether to stay in his digital world or face the reality surrounding him. That hint of desperation in his brow returned, a reminder of the weight he carried. It hurt to see him struggle, trapped between duty and family. "I'm trying to provide for you," he finally said, his voice wavering. "It's a lot right now." His words trailed off, as if he were wrestling with the true magnitude of that statement. "We understand you're trying," Sierra whispered, "but do you realize how distant you are? We need you here. Not just physically but emotionally. Don't you see that?" In that moment, influential voices from nearby tables faded into background noise. It was just them, a father, a daughter, and a connection that both wanted but couldn't quite reach. Jamal instinctively shifted in his seat, a child caught in the crossfire of adult struggles. "Sometimes it feels like I can't win," her father admitted, finally looking her square in the eye. "I'm so focused on this job because I think it will make things better. But I know I'm missing the mark." "Missing the mark?" Sierra echoed, her heart racing. "You're here, Dad, but you're just not present. You can't put your job before your family. We miss you. I miss you." Jamal's small voice chimed in, his innocence cutting through the heaviness. You can fix it, Dad. We just want to be together like before. The simple truth hung in the air, raw and powerful. It echoed with the essence of family. Love, laughter, and connection. Sierra watched as emotion flickered across her father's face. For a fleeting moment, it was as though real understanding seeped through the cracks of their strained communication. But just as they began to bridge that distance, another buzz echoed from the table, snapping him back. Her father's eyes darted to his phone, and the flicker of hope dimmed once more. Just a minute, he murmured, but this time it felt like a wall was being rebuilt. Sierra's heart sank. She could feel her hope deflate like a balloon slowly losing air. Dad, please. If we can't figure this out now, then when? What's going to change? But there was an impediment in his gaze. It was the same conflict she'd seen moments before. His fingers moved faster, trapped in the clutches of a virtual world, and her unease shifted into something sharper: fear. Fear that they were on the verge of losing him entirely. Suddenly, Jamal pushed his plate aside, rising slightly in his seat. No more phone, he exclaimed with the innocence that only a child could muster. Just us. We can have fun again. Just us. The room fell silent. The tension, the awkwardness, the pain, they all pivoted around that little voice, creating an unexpected stillness. Sierra's cheeks flushed with warmth as she fought to hold back tears. Dad, she nudged gently, maybe it's time we put our phones down for a while. Just to really talk. Because I don't know how much longer I can pretend everything is okay. The table remained silent, charged with danger and possibility. Jamal looked hopefully at his father, his small hands reaching out as if to bridge that gap they all desperately wanted to close. What would her father choose in this crucial moment? Would he set aside the distractions and come back to them? Or would they miss the chance for healing that lay right in front of them? As Sierra sat waiting, a question remained. Would the storm pass, or would it break them apart forever? Sierra held her breath, eyes locked onto her father. The moment hung there, charged with possibility. Jamal's tiny hands reached out, full of hope, a thread connecting them through the tangled web of hurt and distance. Please, Dad, Sierra urged softly, heart pounding. Just be here with us. Put the phone down. For a long moment, he was silent, wrestling with the weight of her request. Then slowly, he placed the phone face down on the table. Sierra felt a rush of relief wash over her like a gentle wave. "'Kay," he said, breathing deeply. "I'm here." The tension shifted as if a heavy curtain had been drawn back, revealing the light. Jamal smiled brightly, his eyes sparkling. "See, now we can start. You can ask me again about soccer." Her father chuckled, but this time the laughter didn't sound forced. It felt real, like the first step towards something they could rebuild together. "So you got a goal? That's amazing, kiddo. Tell me everything." Sierra watched as the atmosphere transformed. The focus shifted from her father's past mistakes to the shared joy of Jamal's youthful spirit. It was an opening, and she dared to hope. As they dined, Jamal animatedly recounted his soccer story, peppering it with exciting details and silly gestures. It reminded Sierra of those simpler times when laughter harmonized with happiness at their dinner table. For the first time in months, her heart felt slightly lighter, buoyed by the innocent joy of their son. In between bites, Sierra stole glances at her father. She could see the change in him. The hard edges of regret were softening, and he was actively engaging in their conversation. Yet, there still lingered a part of her that hesitated. The road ahead was long, and trust wouldn't come easily. "Dad," she ventured after a while, drawing his attention. "How do you feel about being back in our lives? I mean, really?" He looked thoughtful, taking a breath before speaking. "To be honest, it's terrifying. I messed up when I left. I spent so long trying to escape that I forgot the importance of what I was leaving behind." Sierra nodded, and it took everything in her not to jump at the chance to let old wounds press forward. "What can we do to make sure you stay this time?" With an unexpected smile, he replied, "Well, I need to be more present physically and mentally. What can I do to show you that I'm serious about this?" Jamal chimed in, face brightening. "You could come to my games." "Absolutely. I would love that," her father replied, sincerity lacing his words. "What else?" she pressed, feeling a surge of hope. "We can start small," he said. "Family dinners. I'll turn off my phone every time. I'll ask more questions and actually listen." Just be the dad you need me to be. Sierra felt a warmth envelop her heart. Maybe, just maybe, this was the beginning of a different path. I would like that, Dad. I really would. Jamal's excitement bubbled over. An ice cream. We can have ice cream every time. As he laughed and celebrated every morsel of joy, Sierra felt her guard begin to slip away. There was still much to navigate, but for the first time, she could see a glimmer of promise in her father's eyes. Tonight is just the start, her father said, words steady and firm. We'll go slow. One step at a time. She smiled, feeling more at ease with each promise. The warmth in her heart encouraged her to let go of the past and embrace this moment. Together we'll rewrite our story, she declared. Yes, Jamal agreed, clapping his hands. Together. As laughter erupted around the table, Sierra felt a sense of liberation. It was more than just a dinner. It was reclaiming their family connection, laying the foundation for healing. With every bite and every smile, hope blossomed. She could finally envision a future where they stood together, not broken by their past, but stronger for having faced it. And as they shared smiles filled with promise, one thing was undeniable. They were on a new path, and it was worth every bit of trust they were learning to build. Sierra squeezed Jamal's hand and exchanged knowing glances with her father. Their journey together would be one of discovery, and she was ready to face whatever came next. Before the meal ended, Sierra made a silent vow to herself and her family to never lose sight of their bond again. And as if echoing her resolve, she felt Jamal lean into her, full of hope, and for the first time in a long while, she truly believed that they would be okay. Now it's your turn to take action. Subscribe immediately to the channel so you don't miss out on the next exclusive stories. Leave a like now to feed the algorithm and help spread these impactful tales. Comment down below your feelings about this powerful ending. I want to hear your thoughts. And remember, share instantly this video with at least 5 friends who need to see this inspiring transformation. This is the moment to show your support. Don't wait not even one more second. True fans know how vital it is to back the channel through these actions.